Recently, I purchased the Fuji X-H1, and about 2 weeks later, I got the 80mm f2.8 macro lens. Beautiful lens. I bought it because I want to take some pictures of flowers and bugs and such. But before I bought it, I was looking at the Fuji website, and I didn't know that you can put the teleconverter on this particular lens, which is amazing because with the teleconverter, instead of 80 millimeters, you have something like 112 millimeters, which is equivalent to what, 168, something like that, millimeters for full frame, which is getting to be telephoto, sort of. And that was exciting because I was thinking maybe I can use this combination and maybe take some pictures of birds or something, because birds are a little bit too far away. Maybe I can utilize this lens for that. Definitely the 16 to 55 that I have is not telephoto, and it doesn't seem to reach, too far out from the body to the subject. So I tried this out, and I went to Bolsa Chica Ecological Reserve. Now, Bolsa Chica is south of Long Beach and, of course, north of San Diego, way north, and it's right along the PCH, right, Pacific Coast Highway, right after, I think it's Sunset Beach or something. Here it is, Sunset Beach. So Bolsa Chica, beautiful place. This is PCH right here. The beach is on the other side. You have this free parking here. And then what I do is I walk along the bridge here. There's a little areas here where you can just be there for a little bit, taking some pictures. I haven't seen too many people bring their tripods in this area. I don't think you should, just because, you might get in somebody's way, but you could. I imagine. I don't know about that. And if you keep walking that way, there's a path that you can go for about 2 miles or so, and you can look at areas where birds nest. And if you want more information, you can always go to the California.gov website, and it tells you a little bit about what you can do. Oh, it seems like it's 4 miles of hiking. A little history, the type of species that you can find there. Pretty neat. So let's look at those pictures. First thing is I'm using Capture 1, which I'm really happy that I'm using. Lightroom is an awesome program. I've utilized Lightroom for many years. The only thing that's getting to me is that Lightroom doesn't seem to give me the full potential of my RAWs in Fuji. And the first time I used the Capture One software, because you can download it for free, it's like a free version that you can use for a little bit. When I put my RAWs in there, it gave me more contrast. It gave me more rich colors. It gave me the colors that I expect Fuji pictures should do. Not to say Lightroom can't do that with some adjustment probably, and I've gotten great results in Lightroom, but recently Capture One has really set a certain bar. Okay, so these pictures are about 2 months old, and for the last, I would say, 8 weeks, I've been trying to improve my wildlife photography. So let's get into it. So this one, you go over here, is X-H1. This one's the 80mm with the 1.4 teleconverter. You have ISO 800, 1/1600 of a second. If you look closely, if we zoom in almost to 400%, there's not a lot of detail. And it looks pretty bland, actually. And, I'm trying to figure out why my pictures are getting better. Maybe because I'm paying attention more where the focus is, or maybe perhaps, I'm paying attention more on the ISO, the shutter speed. I don't know. You know, the more you do it, the better you get. The more you start learning a couple of things. And I'll go as I talk about these pictures. I'll talk a little bit about some of my adjustments. But here was really out of the box, and I was just snapping pictures away. Here's a picture that I got really lucky, where you can see some little detail on the eye and a lot of detail on the feathers. I was really happy in capturing this. But you can see that there's some, this is for almost I think this is 400%. I'm pretty sure. If we go out of this, you'll see, 400%. See, that's like normal, and this is 400%. So at 400%, there's, of course you're gonna be seeing some noise, but the noise is smoothed out, really nice. Printing this is a very nice picture, though you have to make some adjustments if you're going to print this on paper. But you can see a lot of detail. Got really lucky. There should be more detail here, and I can probably extract more out of that. This one was another picture that I got really lucky. If we look over here, you can see that this picture has been cropped. Originally, it is way bigger. And if we zoom in more, there's some details on the ice at about 400%. Not bad. There's some details on the feathers as well, a little blown out here. I'm pretty sure I can put a layer here and maybe get back some detail. Again, if we look at this picture, this is where the focus square was at. That's not bad. Not a bad picture. This one here. This one, if you want to know about the ISO and stuff like that here, let's go back. This is 640 at 1/2000th of a second at f8. Let's move to the next one. This one right here. I like this picture, especially when you don't blow it all the way in. You blow it all the way into like 400. It starts to break down a lot, But at this, normal, that's not bad. A lot of details. I love the reflection. It's been walking, so it gives you there's a wake, a little wave in the water. This one is again the macro with 1.4 teleconverter, 1250 ISO at 1/2000th of a second. I've been reading up a little bit on the XH1, and people are saying that 800 seems to be the sweet spot, but I didn't figure that out until later. Sometimes I did get that much. I did get that lucky and put it at 800. This one is a little bit blown out. I remember that this was like the sun was going down. I wasn't really paying attention. You got a 1/500th of a second, which is, with a walking bird, it's probably okay, but usually, you want to set it at 1600 maybe all the time. ISO 640, that's great. And of course, this is the macro. But if you look in here, it's not bad. Maybe a little overexposed here and there. The color here might be overexposed, but overall, not bad. And I really worked on this picture, I think, a little bit. I didn't put a layer to work on its beak, but this picture has been worked on. This color of the ocean is really nice, comes out. One of the beautiful things about this lens is its contrast and its color rendition. I am really happy with its ability to give me rich colors. Now this one's probably my favorite. Talking about colors, right? This one you can see it's been cropped a bit. This one is this is ISO 4000 at 1/500th of a second. I love this picture because the bird's been walking around. You can see it's leaving these trails. There's probably a lot of noise because it was in the shadow, so I put it in black and white. And I love this, like, I love the tones in this picture. There's some details with the feathers, and you can tell that this is a head. These are some of its feathers, and you can tell that this is its leg and stuff. And probably if I put a layer and really work on this picture, it would pop out a little more. But again, not a lot of work was done on these pictures. Very quick adjustments. Yeah, sometimes I'll put a little more effort, but sometimes just what you took is fabulous. Here's another picture, and let's see, this one was again 80 macro 1.4. This is ISO 1000, 1/500th of a second, which I'm surprised. Again, when I first started, I wasn't really paying attention too much on the shutter speed. I thought with 500 would be sufficient, but I figured later on, I needed 1600, but aperture is going to have to be a little bit lower. The aperture, I think, for this one is, let's see. Oh. When the teleconverter is on, I believe it's at 4. It's at 2.8, but with the teleconverter, you lose one stop. So I believe it starts at 4. I'm pretty sure it does. Yeah, 2.8, and it gives you. It's 2.8 without the teleconverter, and I believe it's 4 with it. Automatically, it's 4. So you lose one stop of light, and so you have to pump up the ISO. But this picture right here, a lot of great details on the feathers. The eyes are not super perfect. Oh, it's a bit off right here. It's probably movement. That's one other thing too. All these pictures have Ibis turned on. Ibis is awesome. And also the macro lens also has iOS. So that is also important. Let's see. Make sure that I said that right. OIS, that's right. Optical image stabilization. And I probably had to increase the shutter speed on this so the eyes won't be too blurry. But at 400%, like anything, you're going to have some luminance, noise and such. But it's all blended out. It looks really nice. Here's another one. Probably the same at 1/500th of a second, ISO 400. Great ISO actually, and that's f8. And again, they're moving, and this is not super clear, and that's probably because they're probably moving. Here's another one, really nice. This one, like all of them, they've been adjusted, which is not too bad. Okay, now this one is interesting. This is the only picture that is not the 80 millimeter. This one was taken with the 16-55, 2.8, and we can see right here. Right here, right? 16-55, 2.8. And you can see that this is at 2500 ISO at 1/2000th of a second. Probably a little bit too high. That should have been lower maybe, but it's possible I didn't have the ND filter on this, because sometimes it can get really bright. So maybe I jumped it up a little bit that way. A lot of detail here. Really nice. A lot of detail. You can see really nice. I love the background. And now let's look at the 80 millimeter version. And it's very similar. Very, very similar indeed. As a matter of fact, maybe we can put these two together. And then maybe we can view them side by side. Right? Go over here at the edge of the neck. See if there's really any particular difference. It's interesting. What was I focusing? You can see that I was probably doing a better job focusing here. But then again, what f-stop was I using here? But you can see they're comparable. I mean, nobody's going to go at 800 and blow it up and take, print that out. It's probably going to be printed this way. The reason why I wanted you to see this is that, even with the 16 to 55, if the animal is really close, you can take nice pictures. You don't have to have a macro lens. Okay, let's go back. I'm curious. Let's look at this one more time. This one at 1000 ISO. Okay, here's another bird. This one is about maybe third week or something. 1/1600th of a second, ISO 400. Very nice details on the wings, but if you look closely, the eye still doesn't have great detail, or the beak at 400, but just like that, looks nice. You got details, look on the feet, on the wing, and the sky is not that bad. Yeah, there's some noise, but you're expecting noise at 400%. Here's another picture, really nice. This one is at 1600 ISO, 1/1600 of a second, 5.6. This seems to be a pretty good setting throughout the day. I figured that out a little bit later. You can see this bird is kind of like it's picking up some type of like clam shell. There's some, at 400%, it's not bad. Not perfect, but not bad. Even if you look at it this way, there's some overexposure here. There's probably a way, put a layer and stuff and work on this picture even more. Same day, same bird. It's just a different type of way of arranging and coloring the subject. And really nice. I mean, of course, 400%. You're going to see a lot of pixels and stuff, but normal looks great. You have the reflection and very nice an arrangement of colors. You have that teal orange look to this. This one, I'm not sure if it's the same bird or not, but I think in this one, definitely in the shade. And you got ISO 2000, 1/1600th of a second, 5.6. And you can see, if I zoomed in a little bit, there's noise, of course, but this is less color, more black and white, more bluish tone. You can see the beaks, their long beaks going in there in the muscle, this clam shell getting in there, eating. Very interesting process. And then the eyes, there's some detail. I mean, this picture looks great. And I don't know if this one is, no, this one is not cropped. Here's another one. This one's at 2000 ISO at 1600 shutter speed. And not too bad. Not great. There's some details. Even at 400%, you can see it got another seashell here, a mussel trying to eat whatever's inside of it. Still, this is not bad, actually, right? And if you look over here, I've processed this, and I'm not sure even, and this is one of the things that I'm still trying to figure out. It's like sharpness and such. Yeah, I didn't do anything with the sharpness. So, not bad. Not a bad picture at all. Another one, again, this one with the sun is like really showing the feathers here. This one's at 2000 ISO, 1/1600th of a second. Probably I could have lowered the ISO maybe on this one. But again, you can see there's a little more detail, not a lot more, but you can see that there's some details now with the legs And the feathers look pretty good. From far away, it looks really nice, especially all this like movement in the water. Now this one was done at ISO 1600 at 1/1000th of a second. Again, this is still the macro. This one is probably a mistake at 1600. This has to go down more probably. Unfortunately, I'm already moved the high dynamic range slider all the way, trying to get most of these detail right here in the feathers. Doesn't seem to work. Maybe if I do a layer, maybe I can bring some more out, but this is really washed out too much. It's overexposed a little bit too much right here. And you have to be careful with these animals that are like really bright white. With you got to be careful not to overexpose, especially with the metering. Even with spot metering, you can still have some challenges. But I like the reflection. This is blue. This has a nice white gold color. And zooming in, there's some details on the beak a little bit. The eyes are a little bit hard to determine its definition. And just a picture of the wood there. This one, when I took it, I thought I was pretty lucky. This one is 3200, 1/1000th of a second f4. And it almost at 400%, it almost has some okay definition. Not great. This is almost dusk. 3200 ISO, not bad for the noise, actually. Not bad at all. And this one's not cropped at all. So I framed it the way I want it. Very nice picture. I'm pretty sure if I print this out, it's a pretty nice picture. It's, again, printing this out, you don't need so much details. This is enough detail at this level, but it would have been nicer. It would be nice if it had more detail. And again, I think that has a lot to do with practice, the focusing, making sure you nail the focus, and also, there's some certain limitations at 112 millimeters. Here's another one. I love this blue water here, and then the bird over here at 400%. You can't really see the eyeball, right? There's some details here. There's probably some blur here going on. And of course, I got tons of pictures that some of these birds are like way off focus, and you'll see one in a minute or two. This one I felt really lucky in getting. This is at ISO 1000, 1/1600th of a second. This is 80 millimeter macro, 1.4. And you can see that at this level, at 100%, I can easily get detail on the feathers. I can print this out, and I would be happy with it. It's a little dark. I can probably adjust it a little more if I wanted to. Maybe give it a little more exposure. Probably what I would do is do a layer and then start working on the bird's body. But if you get closer, you can see that this is a fish. You can see the eyeball a little bit. There's some details right here on the beak, but the cool thing is you can see all these water droplets, and there's movement. The fish is trying to escape. It's definitely not going to. So that's not bad. It's not a bad picture. And the shutter speed was at 16. Not bad. This one I got really lucky. You can see these people over here with their very long lenses. They're looking at something, and this guy just landed there, and it's right about the time it's leaving. And you can see that, the camera tried to focus on the animal here. It's not a perfect focus at 400%, but it's not bad at this level at 100. Maybe I'm being a little too critical on this. And has this been cropped? No, it has not. Here's another day. Now let's look at the date over here. So this is like already like halfway of within 2 months. going there when I can, taking pictures. This is in the morning. You can see it's still 80 millimeters with the teleconverter. 1/250th of a second. I'm not sure what I was thinking. ISO 250 at f8. Probably because I wanted some more depth of field. Maybe at f8 I would get more details. Maybe that's what I was thinking. Probably. You can see that there are some more details in the eyes. You know, it's very hard at 400%. This bird really is more than 50 feet away. But you can see that there's some definitely more details on the feathers. I can probably do a little better job than that. There's no mask to this at all. But it's really nice. Well, this is a rail. I know that this is a rail. Very close to the endangered species list. And there's some blur here. This is at 1/200th of a second, f8. You can see there's some details, and it's a perfect place for the bird to hide from predators. And let's see, that one has been cropped. You can see over here. Another rail picture. I like this one. This one seems to kind of nailed it, almost, even at close to 400%. Right? This is ISO 250, 1/200th of a second, f8. So you can see that there's some details now on the eyeballs. You can see the mud or something that it's eating, right? And it's a bird that seems to like the water a lot. What bird doesn't, right? And it's looking down. Composition is really nice. It's blending within its environment. Really nice. I really like this picture. This is probably my second picture that I like on all these pictures, just like the black and white that I was showing you before. I like this picture a lot. And here's another bird. This one's at ISO 800, 1/500th of a second, f8. Probably this particular session, I was probably thinking, okay, I'm going to do f8. Let's see what happens. Pictures are getting a little bit better, but there's still too much blur. Not a lot of details. But then again, this is blown up to 400%. But here, it looks pretty good. Not bad at all. Now this gentleman over here had an XT1 and had the 100-400. And we started talking to each other because I noticed that he had an XT1. The XT1 with the 100-400 lens is not a very good combination. And he knew that. He was waiting to save some money so he can buy the XT2 or the XH1. And he was nice enough to say, hey, why don't you borrow my 100-400 lens? And I was really happy. I had it for like 20 minutes and I got a picture, this picture right here. Amazing picture. There's some details on this. You can see that with this lens. And you can see some details on the feathers. Probably a little bit overexposed. Definitely, I didn't do too much to this. There's no additional layers to really work on this. And actually, this hasn't even been processed. Let's see what happens when we process it. I don't know. We'll find out right now. So what we do is stretch this out a little bit. We'll just click on the A here. And wow, you can see that kind of made it a little bit darker. Right? We can probably bring in the shadows a little bit. Recover those. Wow, not bad. I'm liking that. Do a little more clarity. Ooh, some structure. Not a lot. Let's look at this picture. Wow. This is normal. Yeah, I would probably put a layer and then work on these more details. You can definitely see more details now. You know. And the eyeball, not bad. Not bad. Not perfect, but not bad. I don't know if you'll be able to get something perfect at 400% on anything. But here with this telephoto lens, with the teleconverter, I forgot to say that. So this one does have the teleconverter. This picture is really nice. And oh, we should look at this picture. We should look at the info. Here it is, look. 4.5 to 5.6, 100 to 400, and 1.4. Does it tell you? It should tell you, but I'm not sure where it is, what focal length it was at. I bet you're looking at it right now. Here it is, focal length, 140. So this wasn't even stretched out all the way. So, this goes up to 400, and that was only at 140. Imagine that. Because I had to zoom out a little bit for that. That's pretty amazing if you really think about it. Here's the next one. This one is zoomed in at, look at that, 421 millimeters. Again, this has the 1.4. And you can see that it starts at 4.5, right? But it doesn't say here, but 4.5, well, unfortunately, it doesn't start at 4.5 at 1 with the teleconverter or 1.4. At 4.5, right, I guess it would be a little more than, maybe at 7.2 probably. Wow. Yeah, for 4.5, one stop would probably be 4.5, right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, maybe close to 7, right? Or maybe 6.4. But the thing is, you can't go below. Definitely, you can't go at 4.5 with this teleconverter. Okay, ISO 1600, 1/1000th of a second. Look at this rendition. This is awesome. A lot of character. This lens has a lot of character. There is some contrast rendition, and beautiful color is coming out. This one, you can see that I did process this. And look at that. Look at this beautiful picture. This is at 400%. There's not too much detail going on. But this bird was not like 50 feet away. This bird was a little bit farther. But I love the colors. Look at this. Red and blue. This is a very nice picture, easily, if you're going to, frame it and print this out. That's a keeper. I like that. Okay, now we're going back to the macro again. 80 millimeter f2.8 macro 1.4. You can see that you can definitely, when we zoom in, a lot of details in the eyes, a lot of details in the beak. Why? Well, first of all, what's this? F4. So, it's not focused over here. Why is this such a great picture? Why so much detail? Because the bird was within 5 feet easily. Here's another picture. This one, 2 birds. There's some movement going on there. Not very sharp at 400%. It's at 1/16th of a 1/1600th of a second, 640, 5.6. Not great, but you can see what's going on there. And it's been processed. Another picture. Let's see, where are we here on the date? So definitely we're into easily 5 weeks into this probably now, taking pictures. The sun is shining over here on the left. Nice detail. This has been processed. Definitely I can put some, and I've done some layer work apparently, so that I can bring out this picture a little bit. I think I did the layers because of the legs. They were a little bit exaggerated, a little too orangey, too much saturation. You can see that there's not a lot of detail over here. I'm wondering maybe because the ISO might be too high, maybe? I don't know. 400? No, it's not high. Maybe the aperture should have been a little bit higher. Still, it's a good picture. Not bad. And you got a sea hare. I think that's this. What's this called? This is underwater. And then these pictures here is a set of pictures of one of these birds again. And you can see that it's blown out right here. And we'll see one where it's not. It's the same situation, same bird, same time period. But you'll see that it's I bring out some of the details on the feathers and such. But at 400%, again, not too bad. I mean, it's getting a little better. There's some details in the eyes and the beak. And it's looking for a fish. And it did find one. And it's moving a little bit. And maybe this is not the picture that I'm thinking about. Let me see if I process. Let's look over here. No, I haven't processed this. So let's do that. There's one of these bird pictures that I did, and you can see the details. And you can see that this is still blown out. This is at what? 400. I should be able to bring something out. Let's bring in the highlights. This high dynamic range. Look at that. Oh wow, look at that. You can see that this just came out here and here. Not too much here, something here. Maybe we can bring down the exposure a little bit. Now this is something that I wouldn't definitely do because I'm not the type that likes, of course you would have to do a layer, do a layer on the bird and then brighten the background, right? This right here I'm exposing for the bird, basically. And you can see that the raw does have some details in there. Not a lot of details, but detail enough for me to be satisfied. Not bad for a person who doesn't take too much pictures of wildlife. And you can see this right here. You got the bird with the water splashing. Really nice. Not bad at all. Another picture of a bird again. It hasn't been processed. This is ISO 400, 1/200th of a second. Probably a little too much. F4. If I had to do this again, I would probably make it at 1/1000 at F8, probably. It's walking, but there's some details. And maybe I would have captured more details. Let's do this. Let's click on auto exposure and the levels. Let's click on the levels as well. And you can push this a little bit too. Maybe. Let's see if we can click on this highlight and see if we can bring up some details. Yeah, it looks like you can. Lower down the brightness a little bit. And you can see there's more details now. You can see a lot more details in the body. You see that? That came out really nice. And again, you can do a layer on this, and then the outside you would make it more brighter, right? So I got really lucky on this picture. I think one of the first times I went there, I saw flying fish, and I was like, what is going on? And I think this is a striped bass, a sea bass. I'm not sure. If you're at this point in the video and you know what this fish is, put it in the comments. I mean, it looks striped, and I'm pretty sure it probably is a bass, sea bass. I wish it was coming towards me and there's more detail, but I got really lucky on this picture because for the longest time I've been trying to take a picture of this fish jumping. Of course, it's not the same fish, but that's pretty neat. And it's been processed a little bit. Pretty sure I can do a better job. I don't like this like crunchy look. Probably would change that a little bit. And in this one was at ISO 500, 1/1600th of a second, f5.6, and zoomed in almost at 400%. Again, it's not very clear and clean. There's still, I mean, this bird was probably a little bit farther than 50 feet, but still, it's a very nice picture at 100%. Here's another one. It's still moving, and the camera is still able to sort of focus in its body. At this level, it looks good. And then this picture is pretty neat. This bird is really far away, and you can see that there's some details here. And now not too much details right there on the bird. But again, you get a sense of what the lens could do. These birds, of course, if they were closer, they would have more detail. This picture, I know there's one in there that's been processed. So I got really lucky. This bird got a very big fish. Look at that. This is a little blurry. This is at 1600. Still a little blurry at ISO 1250. F4. Maybe it should be a little more than F4. The problem is that this is, dusk. And it's getting darker. And you can see, this is one picture. And it's walking, trying to swallow this. Gets it in the water, I guess, so that it could be a little more fresh. And then this one has been processed. You can definitely tell the difference between that one and that one. Automatic processing. And I'm pretty far away. I'm more than 50 feet away. And there's some details on this fish. I wish I had, that 100 to 400 lens. Probably would have gotten a better rendition of this. But still, the important thing is, this is all I have. This is a macro lens. Macro lens with a teleconverter. And I'm able to take pretty cool pictures at more than 50 feet. And here it is again. And right there, it's swallowed it. There it is. That's a great piece of dinner there. That seems to stretch. Okay. And then, wow, we got more pictures. This one's really nice. This one is now getting into, more than a month practicing. And some details. Look at that. Even at 400%, there's some little details there. Not bad. Even on the feathers here, there's some details right here as well. And this one, I think there was some processing. No, there isn't. What happens when we process it? Let's go with exposure. Let's correct that. Okay, that's nice and bright. What about levels? Levels. Oh, look at that. Makes the water a little more blue. You can see that there's not a lot of details right here in the front. Let's see if we can pull that out by using the high dynamic range. Yeah, a little bit. Maybe lower down the exposure. Brightness. Right? Give it a little more saturation. Some clarity. Wow, not too much. Little structure. Right? Look at that. 400%. There's not too much detail here. Little blown out. Legs. There's some details in the legs. Remember, this thing is flying. Right? This is flying. This is ISO 2000, 1/1600th of a second, f8. So this thing is flying, is moving, and the camera was able to take the picture at 100%. That's a nice picture. Easily, you can put it in an aluminum frame and it would look nice. Maybe you can even grab some, use a layer. Maybe you can get some more detail right here in the front of the bird's face. But still, at, what was this again? At 2000 ISO? Not bad. Not bad at all. The same bird. And you can see it's a bit more off focus. But still, the camera was able to hold. Now, these pictures that I'm showing you, to me, they're kind of lucky that I got them. There's a ton of pictures that I took pictures similar to this, and they're out of focus. So expect a lot of pictures that are out of focus, especially if you're just starting. Another picture again with this bird, different day. You can see that there's a little more detail here and the eyes. And I don't know if this has been processed or not. Let's look. Nope. Let's click on exposure. Ooh, that's a little too bright. Let's bring that down. Let's grab this highlight. See if we can bring any, and then bring in some of the shadows maybe. A little more contrast, less brightness, maybe a little more saturation. There's some noise there. This ISO 800, 1/1250th of a second, 5.6. And again, that's 400%. I mean, this is 100%. Not bad. This picture, I'm really liking more and more that I look at it. And I think there's only one of these, right? Yeah. Oh, actually, there's a set of them. But this one, there's been some pictures that I've shown you so far with the bird capturing the fish. But, you know, as I do this more and more, I start realizing some of the settings. I think on, let me see. No, not on this day, but I'm realizing that these birds, especially the birds that are more brighter, I'm trying to expose to the bird, not so much to the scene. And I think that might have been spot metering. I'm not sure. No, it wasn't. It's center weighted average, actually. But there is some detail. Look at that. You can see the fish here. There's movement. That means something's going on. There's a lot of water droplets. Here, there's more details in the feathers on the head and also on the shoulder. Way better picture than the weeks before that. I think this is a way better picture. Why is it a better picture? Because there's more detail. Why is there more detail? I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe it might be the aperture that I'm adjusting a little more. Instead of 4, it's a little bit higher at 5.6. Shutter speed here is at 2000, but you know, I was shooting at 16. Could that be it? Maybe, maybe not. ISO definitely, as I was taking more of these pictures, I was lowering down the ISO more and more. And also, I was taking pictures. I think some of these pictures are more not in dusk, but a little more like there's more sunshine. And of course, this bird is not moving. So again, focus is much easier. And the bird is walking here, and then it just lifted. And it's like, here I go. And you can see that the camera trying to do its job and focusing on the face. At this level, you can't really tell. You can tell it's focused okay, but of course, as you zoom in, it's not focused great, but not bad. One thing that I haven't really talked about is what focus setting is it in? Well, it's continuous autofocusing, and there was a few times I was using the back button, but I quit doing that. It seemed to be getting in the way. No back button focusing. And here's another one with its wings down. This is at 1/200th of a second, ISO 500, 5.6. And you can see there's some details here and maybe in the water and the legs, right? Maybe here, but not in the face. But still at 100%. And I don't think this is cropped. No, it's not. Okay. This is a beautiful picture. Easily more than 50 feet above my head. Not great in terms of details at 400% on the eyes of the beak, but there's enough detail here that it looks nice at 100%. Here's another one again. You can see that it's at 400 ISO, 1/200th of a second, f/5.6. This bird is very elusive. Has a red eye. You can see that, or orange. It likes to be underwater a lot. And once in a while I'll pop out and I can take a picture. It moves really quickly too. And this is probably the best picture I've taken of this type of bird. And this one is a really nice picture of the bird. And when you focus to 400% or you zoom, yeah, it's not super focused on the eye, but there's a lot of detail. And this one, has it been processed? It has been. And again, you can probably do a layer and then paint this, bring that out a little more. Okay, So these are the last pictures of these pictures of birds. And here you can see that this picture is blurry. I mean, you can't really tell here, but definitely at 400%, this is really blurry. And when you take pictures in the viewfinder and when it comes out after you take the picture, you can really see, oh, there's nice details. But when you zoom in, you can start thinking, oh, you can start seeing some of the imperfections. But as the bird was flying, there was a moment where the camera did catch up, and it took a very nice picture. Even at 400%, it nailed it. I mean, this is probably the best 400% picture of the bird that I have. Look at this detail on the feathers, even the eyes. Yeah, sure, there's a little pixelation there, but hey, at 400%, you're expecting that. This is way too beautiful to not to print. So definitely there's, you know, this little orange here, the bird's feathers, and this has kind of been processed, and there's no layers here at all. So I'll probably do some work on it, maybe even try to like change the color of the ocean a little bit. But overall, that's a beautiful picture. And then here is another picture, and this one's been cropped. This is definitely another picture that I took with that camera, and it's just nailed nicely. This one is, let's see, at f5.6, 1/200th of a second, ISO 400. At this point, I was already using a meter and trying to figure out the exposure of the subject. And this one's not spot meter, yeah, center weighted. Center weighted gives you false information on the exposure. It probably is too bright, so it probably underexposes a little bit. But when you take a picture of a bright bird, you know, you probably have to lower down the exposure a little bit. And a bird like this, you probably have to increase the exposure a little bit. But I wasn't exposing for birds like this. I was exposing more for birds that are lighter in color. And this one, look at this. You know, you got some details in the beak easily. You know, or a little bit of orange. There's this beautiful blue. There's a little bit of red in the eyelids. A lot of details under the wings, the legs here. And the composition's really nice. And this one's been cropped. Okay, that's probably a lot of information. A couple of things that I've learned along the way is that shutter speed needs to be, if it's flying, probably 1600 or more. If it's walking, probably less than 1000. You have to you know, mess around with it. You know, do you really need, you know, 100, 400 lens to take pictures, you know, like this or like this? Not really. I mean, you see that I have many pictures, right, with the macro lens, and they're not bad. You know, I mean, they're not super great either, because, you know, if I took this picture with at the same distance with the 100, 400, I would have a lot more detail. But I don't. And for a lens at 80 millimeters with the 1.4 teleconverter, making it at about 112, right? 112 millimeters is not bad. Not bad at all. So it has multifunction use. So I can use the same lens to take pictures of, you know, animals and plants. Well, plants. And I've done that in the macro setting, and those pictures, I'll be hopefully having a conversation like this as well. What other thing can I tell you? Definitely the contrast and the rendition of the colors are beautiful for this camera. Ibis is super important in these situations. They definitely give you more stability as you take pictures. And I think, you know, when you take pictures of birds or animals, you have to practice. This is 2 months worth of pictures. And every time I go, my skills my craft is improving. And of course, if I continue on the road with this, maybe I'll get the 100-400, maybe use it for birds. Who knows? There should be another application other than birds with the 100-400. If you're using a 100-400 and you're not taking pictures of birds or animals, tell me, what other thing can you use? Yes, maybe sports, probably. But in this case, I think for me and for many of us, I think the macro 80mm with the 1.4 teleconverter can be used for wildlife.